Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now, today's video is going to be a follow-up video to one I dropped in the past week entitled The Arab Conquest of Sudan, Bloodlines and Cultural Supremacy. And also, African Stream banned by the US government. Now, in today's video, we're going to be reacting to an interview of a good brother named Ahmad Cabello. I believe I pronounced his name right. The CEO of African Stream, talking about basically what I was talking about in my video about the Arab conquest of Sudan. Now, this brother right here, I believe he's Sudanese, so he can speak about it way better than I can. Now, the focus of this discussion is Sudan, but similar things happen in other societies that have Arab admixture, like Mauritania and things like that, where you still have slavery going on still to this day, where the Arab mulatto offspring, as well as the self-identified Arabs, are oppressing the native blacks. And you see a similar type of dynamic take place in any society where blacks and Arabs are living amongst each other. For whatever reason, the Arab man cannot help himself but be hostile towards the black man. I don't know why that is. You have to ask him that, right? Don't come into my comment section and try to lecture me to show respect for the Arab. No, go lecture the Arab man on why he's so hostile towards the black man. Don't come lecture the black man about why he's hostile towards the Arab man. Because to be honest, most black men are not hostile towards Arabs. Most black men kiss the Arab man's feet. In reality, I'm somewhat of an outlier when it comes to this topic because the majority of black men, the Arab man could throw your mama off a building and you still gonna have love and respect for him. I'm different. I don't give a fuck about them people. But one thing I never understood and one thing I'll never understand is why this topic is so taboo, right? It's like a forbidden topic that you cannot engage in. Like, we have no problem talking about the Western colonial nations. We have no problem talking about Zionist expansion or any other demographic, right? But when it comes to the Arab, suddenly the conversation becomes delicate, right? Like as if there's some type of protected class. I don't understand it, man. But me, myself, personally, I never subscribe to that double standard. So the same way we can critique the French and the Americans and the Belgians and the British, we can also critique the Arabs just the same. If we can talk about American imperialism, if we can talk about French colonialism, if we can talk about what King Leopold did in the Congo, then we can also talk about the Arab slave trade. We can also talk about the conquest of North Africa. We can also talk about the destabilization of the Sahel. We can talk about these things because they affect our people. Our people are dying because of these things. We're not going to sit here in some make-believe fantasy as if the Arab man is standing in solidarity with the black man. We can look towards Libya, Mauritania, the Middle East. We can see the hostility has been constant. And we can look at what's happening in the Sudan. So anyways, man, we're going to jump into this interview. The CEO of African Stream, a Sudanese brother himself, with direct knowledge on the situation. So I'm going to play the interview and I'm going to come in and out with my commentary. Let's go.
Let's deal with the racial dynamics of this whole situation. Yeah. Because in fact, I'm not going to put anything on it. Just give us an overview of the racial dynamics and how that feeds into what is taking place in Sudan.
Sure. So I actually did my master's thesis dissertation on this topic.
Right.
I called it Arab Identity in Sudan, the Colonial Legacy in the Post-Colonial Present. So what I tried to argue in my thesis is that Sudan is suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Okay.
As a collective.
Okay.
And so the real quick overview, as quick as I can.
Yes, go ahead.
Was before the Anglo-Egyptian rule in Sudan. It was the Ottoman Egyptian rule in Sudan.
Yeah.
So a guy by the name of Muhammad Ali, viceroy of Albanian viceroy for the Ottoman Empire. He colonized Sudan and wrote in his memoirs that he wanted to get a black army, an exclusively black army. And he was told at the time the blackest people in the planet are in South Sudan. So he went on his voyage to South Sudan, but because of the terrain, it was a bit difficult. So then he managed to recruit Northerners in helping him in the slave raids in South Sudan. To capture these South Sudanese people because they're more familiar with the terrain, etc. Give them to the viceroy of the Ottoman Empire, Muhammad Ali. Now, for a slave army, there just wasn't enough slaves.
Right.
So it became will then enslave anybody who's not Muslim. Yeah. And then it was, oh, we still don't have enough slaves.
Right.
Yeah. So then it was, we will enslave anyone who's non-Arab.
Right.
Non-Arab, even if they're Muslim. Yeah.
Right.
Which obviously is against Islam.
Now, in the beginning part of the video, right, the good brother talked about the original, the first interactions between Arabs and blacks in the region now known as Sudan, right? Obviously, as you can see, the Arabs did not come as brothers. They did not come as, bearing gifts and trying to establish peace and friendship, So they came as they always come, with hostile intentions. Now, I just want to make something clear. Because sometimes it might get confused. My position is not towards Islam per se, right? Like when I talk about the Arabs, sometimes people confuse it and think I'm attacking Islam, but that's not the case, to be honest, because my black Muslim brothers, I don't got no issue with them. Those my brothers, those my family. So when I go after the Arabs, don't get it confused and think I'm trying to attack my brothers. Hell nah, the Arab is not my brother though. So I'm not coming after Islam, right? I believe every black person, you have the right to, believe in whatever you want to believe in. I don't see a fellow black man any different because he follows a different religious tradition than I do, right? We all family. I got love for you, whether you're Christian, Muslim, spiritualist, traditionalist, whatever, right? My issue is not with Islam. My issue is not with any particular religion. When I talk about this topic, I'm talking about men of the Arab race. I'm talking about the anti-blackness and the bigotry that is pervasive in Arab culture and in Arab nations. Anybody with two brain cells can see that Arabs historically have had a deep contempt for black folks, whether you Muslim or not, right? And we have countless examples in the modern day. We've seen this play out, like I said, in Libya, in Mauritania, in the Middle East. We've seen it happen in Lebanon right now. Lebanon is being bombarded. And even while they're being bombarded, they still showing bigotry and hatred. They left their African maids on the streets to die. So listen, you already know what time it is with them people, bro. And even in this video, the brother said that even sharing a religious identity has never stopped the Arab supremacists from trying to oppress our people, from showing hostility towards our people. So like I said, man, my issue is not with any black man who subscribes to Islam. My issue is with men of the Arab culture. Now, anyways, let's continue.
So this began this process of everyone self-identifying as Arab as a form of protection. Yeah. So then it became this. I know you've got it in the Caribbean. I've been to Jamaica and I've been to Grenada. You know, and everyone's always talking about my so-and-so ancestor is Indian. And all this stuff, and you go through the family tree and ain't no Indians there. Or there's it's overstated.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So there became this process of overstating Arab genealogy. My great-great-grandfather came from Yemen. My great-great-grandmother was from Saudi Arabia, and so on.
Now, in this section of the video, the brother talks on a very interesting phenomenon that you see happening throughout the black world. That is always, it's very interesting, right? Somebody would have a Native American ancestor from 200 years ago, and then they'll completely ignore all the other African ancestors. And now, I'm Native now. I'm Indian now. And apparently the same thing happens in the Arab world too. You could have a great grandfather from Yemen, and all of a sudden, I'm an Arab man now. And the reason why this happens is because, like I said, when these men come in and intermix, and like I mentioned before, intermixing has been used as a method of conquest and a way to consolidate power from both the Arabs and the Europeans. They create these racial caste systems with themselves at the top, right? Themselves at the top, their hybrid offspring in the middle, and the native blacks on the bottom. So what happens is a lot of folks, in an effort to, I guess, rise in the caste system, they overstate their foreign admixture. Like I'm not only black, I'm also Indian too. I'm also mixed too. I got European in me too. I got some Arab. I'm from Saudi Arabia. A lot of folks try to, like I said, elevate in the caste systems because they don't want to just be native black. It's that self-hatred. I'm not just black. I'm not only African. I'm also a mixture as well. So it's a phenomenon that you see happening all across the world, man. It's not only exclusive to the Arab world. It happens in the European colonies as well, man. Like I said, when you can look at, Latin America, right? When they have the phenomenon of trying to improve the race, if the more European admixture, the better. The more non-black admixture, the better, right? So like I said, it's a social phenomenon that happens all throughout the black world. Now let's continue.
Yeah.
So then it became this thing of a status. Your status is dependent on how great your claim is to
Yes.
Arab
Yes.
identity.
Yep.
So much so, probably my family not going to be happy with me saying this, but my mom and dad,
Yeah.
when they were about to get married, apparently one of my mom's uncles was like,
Yeah.
"Why are you marrying this Abid, this slave?"
Mm.
Yeah, because obviously my dad's of a darker hue. His family has links in Darfur, so this is how prominent
Right.
all of this is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and obviously there's no civil rights movement or
Hey, he said the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement in the Arab world, man. Listen, you expect, man, say what you want about the Western colonial powers, man. At least in the Western world, you had abolitionists. Show me the Arab version of Thomas Clarkson. You can't find it. You can't find it. You can't find it. At least in the Western world, you had individuals who went against the grain, against their own people, and was like, hold up, man. Y'all tripping, man. Y'all bugging out, man. In the Arab world, you ain't never had a situation where, there were groups of Arab men unmasked standing in opposition towards their own people talking about, hey, man, what y'all doing is wrong. This is wrong. Bro, they true to the bone savages. Their hostility is truly unapologetic. And this brother said when his parents were getting married, his father, who I'm assuming is a, native black African man from Darfur in Sudan, his mother's side of the family had told his mother, hey, man, why you marrying this slave? Why you getting married to this slave? Now, here you have a country, Sudan, where blacks, Arabs, hybrid Arab blacks have lived side by side for generations and centuries. And a black man is still reduced to being called a slave. Now, this really speaks to the pervasive mindset within Arab cultures, Arab descended cultures. This is not confined to one region. It's not, a Sudan problem. This is a larger pattern of anti-black hatred and anti-black sentiment that spans across the entire Arab world, from Mauritania to Lebanon, from the Gulf states in the Middle East to North Africa. This is embedded into the culture. It cuts across class, national borders, and religion. And we need to stop pretending as if this is some type of isolated behavior or some type of misunderstanding. This is systemic. This is generational. This is ingrained into the culture. These attitudes have been normalized so much to the point that it's not even questioned anymore. It's not even acknowledged. And if you as a black man dare to even bring up the topic, people will try to gaslight you or wag their finger at you, right? Because like I said, for whatever reason, people are scared to confront the Arab. I don't know why. When it comes to the white man, no problem. When it comes to the Jewish man, no problem. But when it comes to the Arab man, all of a sudden we got to be respectful and we got to understand the nuances of the situation and all. Listen, man, they can get the smoke too. The desert dwellers and the camel riders can get the smoke too. They are not special. They are not exempt from the smoke. Now let's continue.
Yeah. And the self-identified Arab isn't based on complexion. It's based on features. Yeah.
Right.
You could get someone that's as dark as our brother John Garang, and he'll be identifying himself as an Arab.
Yeah.
You get someone that's light-skinned, but he has stronger African features. He would not be seen as an Arab. So it's all to do with texture of hair. You already know the stuff without me going into it. So when to the question earlier, I am not an Arab and I reject that identity with all of my being, and I always get offended. I speak Arabic, but I'm not an Arab. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The same way someone in Senegal speaks French, but he's not French.
Yep.
So whenever I'm in, I meet someone from the Arab world, they go, "Oh, you're Arab," and I say, "No, I'm not Arab. I'm Sudanese." Yeah. But it doesn't mean the categorization of Arab and non-Arab isn't still very effective. Yeah. So the wars that have happened in Sudan have basically happened between the northern self-identifying Arab elites versus the quote-unquote Black African groups in the periphery.
Now, shout out to that brother, man. Shout out to him. Obviously, brother from Sudan, so he can speak on it way better than I can as an outsider. And he's the CEO of African Stream, so as you can see, he's definitely not one of those type of, Sudanese that looks down upon his own folks. So, shout out to him, man. Shout out to him. And also, this is another reason why I just stick to black women, man. You know, I just stick to my women. You know, I don't need none of this confusion in my life. You know, I don't need my great grandkids, you know, killing other black people. You feel me? Like, I don't listen, man. I'm gonna just stick to my beautiful black women. Like I said, the black race is the most diverse genetically. So I got so many options to choose from light to dark to this type of body type, this type of facial feature, man. Endless variety, you know, endless variety. So I don't got time for it to be mixing and mingling. You know, I'm not gonna have my descendants waging war against African people. You know, I'm not doing that shit, bro. I'm just not doing that. I'm not gonna have my descendants wiping me out of the genealogy, talking about, oh, I have a great ancestor who came from this country. Meanwhile, you got like 1,400 other black ancestors, but you don't want to acknowledge them. I'm not gonna be wiped out of the family tree. I'm gonna do my part to maintain the bloodline, and I'm gonna incentivize my children to do the same. I don't have children yet, but I'm already thinking into the future, man. But in summary, like I said, it just really summarizes what I've been talking about over the past week or so, how intermixing has been used as a method of conquest against the black man, right? Whether it's been the Arabs in North Africa, East Africa, whether it's been the Europeans on the West African coast or in the colonies, you notice a similar pattern happening in all these different areas, where the offspring of these foreigners, they identify more closely with their non-black lineage. And then, of course, it gets dangerous when these descendants begin to accumulate political power, economic power, which they will then weaponize to the benefit of their non-African heritage. We've seen this happen with the Arabs in North Africa. We've seen this happen in the European colonies. For example, did you know that during the colonial period in Haiti, when it was the French colony of Saint-Domingue, 1/4, about 25% of the slave owners, of the big planters, were actually the mixed race sons of the white colonists? Meaning that if you put 4 colonists in a room, one of those colonists will be the mixed race son of the white Frenchman. And also, that's how some of these conversations get tricky. Because, for example, I've heard white supremacists make the argument that they try to say that blacks also own slaves too. They try to say, oh, the black man owns slaves too, trying to insinuate that the black man enslaved his own people. Therefore, the black man is also evil, just like the European. But they conveniently fail to mention that the so-called black men they're referring to that own slaves was actually your mixed race offspring that you most likely created through the systemic rape of African women. It's a very convenient way to hide their hand. It's a very convenient way to hide their hand. And like I said, it all goes back to the caste systems that they establish whenever they intermix with our people. They establish these racial caste systems with themselves at the top, their hybrid offspring in the middle, and the native blacks on the bottom. You see it happen in the Arab world. You see it happen in Latin America. You see it happen anywhere where there's large-scale intermixing. For some reason, whenever there's large-scale intermixing, the native blacks are always at the bottom, and the foreigners are always at the top. So like I said, man, when it comes to me, I'm going to choose the black woman every time, bro. I'm going to choose the black woman every time, you know, because for whatever reason, black folks, as soon as they get some little admixture, they're trying to overstate that admixture. They're, oh man, I'm not black. I'm this. I'm not black. I'm that. So listen, my kids ain't going to be dealing with that shit, bro. If I can help it, my kids ain't going to be dealing with that shit. Anyways, man, shout out to the good brother, Ahmad Cabello. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to the team at African Stream. It's a Buena Carter Salim back in the Billy. Yes, indeed. Cash app in the description. Support the channel, support the album. Peace. No. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traders, you know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we young. She said that she ready to come be my wife, yeah, hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word and it's bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I'm eating no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news. Back in my city, they loving me. Standing alone, I'm 100 deep. Enemy plotting and still in reach. They try to make sure that we underneath. Trying to make sure that we never make it. Coming for power, come get acquainted. Coming for everything that I wanted. Feeling like Drake, but I really wrote it. Feeling like Kendrick, I'm checking names. Gotta roll up while I go insane. Got so much stress, I've been gated weight. Stuffing these racks in this Louis case. One thing for certain, I'm about to check. Keep it 100 and nothing less. Stick with the family since day one. Had to stay down till my day come. Had to stay down, but I'm never patient. Hop on the mic and I'm motivated. Hop on the mic and I drop a classic. Haters can't see me, they copping glasses. Back in the studio making magic. Got a new tape and it's in production. Back on my business, I got a budget. Staying low key when I'm out in public. Feel like I'm 75. None of your team be full of them traitors, you know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wifey and hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word in this bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news.